I can feel the love inside me slipping away. I can't hold on to it much longer.
Then don't! Sharing love is what made you different to begin with. You should share yours with Chrysalis. Give her all of it. This is what happens when you give love freely instead of taking it.
Okay, plans. Gotta get some art commissions done, gotta work on that mixtape with Keyframe, do a diss track on Kevin.
I have so many questions.
God damn it, Kevin, did you leave the door open again?
It's finally here, the Season 6 finale to Where and Back Again. Is it as good as we anticipated? Is it as bad as we expected? Well, Josh Haber is writing this one, and considering past experiences, it could go both ways. Starlight Glimmer is facing self-doubt over meeting up with the ponies in her old village brought upon by her belief that she hasn't made enough progress in her social skills, while also doubting herself as a leader. At the same time, Chrysalis and the Changelings have returned to exact their revenge and harvest all the love in Equestria. With everyone else captured, Starlight finds herself teaming up with Trixie, Thorax, and Discord on a mission to rescue the princesses and save Equestria. But they'll have to do it without magic, as the Changeling Hive is guarded by a stone that blocks out any outside magic. So the first thing to get out of the way is I have no idea why Starlight is suddenly worried about meeting her old village friends. In fact, I don't understand any of her sudden guilt-driven stress. If she did still feel guilty about her past, it's handled in a way that feels like it's happening out of nowhere. It feels so sudden, with no signs or indications. It just feels so awkward seeing her overreacting to little things. And it makes some of her dialogue during the first half feel repetitive. The episode expands on Starlight's leadership skills more than confronting her guilt, so it would have made more sense if her insecurity stemmed from being told that she was being put in charge of something. There's also a number of noticeable inconsistencies and distractions throughout the plot. First, there's the absence of Sunburst. If he was in a position where he discovered Chrysalis' plan, why wasn't he captured too? It would make sense that he would be taken in while providing Thorax a chance to escape. Or if he wasn't captured, why didn't he go with Thorax? He's supposed to be an important part of Starlight's life, so if she's going to be the main character of this setup, it makes sense that he'd be there to help her with her confidence issues and guilt trips. But he's not, and so that's one incredibly missed opportunity. Then there's the issue of everyone getting captured, which is something that we never see. I mean, they kidnapped the gods of the sun and moon, even went so far as to capture a newborn baby that was the offspring of Cadence and Shining. Not to mention the main six and their potential to use the rainbow power, the Changelings were able to put together a plan to kidnap all of them. This is a very crucial plot point for the story that they're telling, and it happens off-screen. So it feels more like an out-of-left-field event than an organic part of the plot. And the loyalty that the Changelings have for Chrysalis is incredibly lame if they turned on her that easily. This could have worked if there was context to Chrysalis' flaws as their leader or how her dominance over them makes them feel weak, but it just feels like something that happens because friendship triumphs over evil speech. It ends up feeling like a cop-out that was way too easy for the threat level they were at by that point. Okay, I got all that out of the way, so what do I like about the episode? Well, I like the character interactions and the mood swings that they shift to. These are all characters that, for the most part, have been established fairly well. Not just individually, but how they've interacted in the past as well. The episode takes full advantage of each character's known personality traits, and it results in great banter between them. The facial expressions and the attitudes they have for each other, these are really fun to watch. We even get to see them engaging in habits you normally wouldn't expect from them. Trixie is easily scared by the sight of a changeling, Twilight holds in her frustration as Trixie steps her up, Thorax acts like a panicky puppy when returning to the hive, and as for Discord...
Chrysalis and the Changelings are back. They've pony-napped all of the most powerful ponies in Equestria. Celestia, Luna, Cadence, Shining Armor, Flurry Heart, Twilight and her friends. We need to...
They took Fluttershy?
Yes.
Where?
The complaining between Trixie and Discord is handled very well. The two humorously annoy each other with their overconfidence and how they like to show off. The two are practically the same in some ways, and what's so good about it is that two of the same kind of personality with noticeable differences manage to be entertaining foils for each other. It's an interesting contrast that helps keep the episode interesting. There's also a bit that characterizes Rainbow Dash well while she tries to reassure Starlight over her guilt. When she mentions how she used to be horrible, she wasn't doing it to be insensitive, she was just being honest. And she thinks of it as a compliment considering how much she's changed since then. Which shows how she wants to say the right thing to support someone else while forgetting to think about it, which fits her desire to take action before anything else. The episode also has a good sense of pacing. The first several acts move in a way that provides focus for Starlight's struggle with leadership while she and Trixie work past the Changeling cover-up. And from there, the focus on the infiltration of the Changeling hive has a good grasp of allowing the characters to play off of each other while searching for Chrysali's throne. And the episode provides our heroes with an interesting obstacle, relying on their wits and cooperation instead of magic powers to outwit the villain. The design of the hive feels like it was a location built around the concept of the Changelings instead of just for them. It has several resemblances of its inhabitants, which lets it feel like a place they would actually settle in. Its atmosphere also has a large scale to it, with wide areas and portals that transport you throughout different locations like a maze. It's certainly not the kind of place you'd want to get lost in. Chrysalis, who's been my favorite villain for a while, is still as much of an enjoyable ham as she was in a Canterlot wedding. She has a desire for power while maintaining a desire to provide for her followers and be a good queen to them. And seeing as how she's not being redeemed anytime soon, if at all, it makes you wonder how she's going to exact her revenge without a large portion of her followers. And my idea for that is there may still be changelings out there who are loyal to Chrysalis and choose to keep love for themselves. I mean, there had to be changelings outside of the hive if they were assigned to imitate the princesses and the main six, so who knows? It'd be cool to see a fight between evolved changelings and the love-feasting changelings. Speaking of evolved, there's the subject of the changeling evolution provided by Thorax, who now seems to be the new changeling king. It's actually fairly foreshadowed with some small signs, like Thorax's sparkles and not hissing like a snake, as well as how he simply forgot about the idea of feeding for love instead of just not needing it anymore. As for the designs of the evolved forms, I honestly don't know what to make of them. On the surface, it does seem like a good idea because there's now variety in the appearances of the changelings with different mixes of different color palettes instead of just being black and blue and all looking the same. However, there is an understandable con to it. We always associated the changelings with their original designs. It made them seem like intimidating-looking bug horses, which made them feel unique in this world that was created for them. And now with these new designs, it feels like some of that uniqueness was lost. And changing most of their appearances altogether feels more like a part of Hasbro's marketing ploy as opposed to a natural change. I guess this is something I can get used to, but it's easy to see why some other people wouldn't like them. And besides, if evolved changelings retain the ability to change their appearances, they can always revert back to their black and blue designs. So I guess everyone is happy. Kind of, sort of, not really, well, tough shit. And last but certainly not least, there's the character arc of Starlight Glimmer. Throughout the season, it felt like there was so many opportunities to give her a chance to be more involved with the world, and each time it was squandered. Now she's made into the main hero for this episode, which either helps fix previous problems or makes her arc feel completely rushed. I already went on about how I'm not fond of Starlight's guilt, but what I want to focus on is how the episode expresses her feelings towards leadership and how it implements into the conflict. It's worth noting that a lot of how Starlight gets by in this episode stems from her friendship with Trixie. We haven't seen the two together for very long, but given the way they communicate in this episode, you believe that they're close friends. Trixie takes time to listen to Starlight as someone she can trust, someone she can vent her problems about. And while she finds herself irritated with Starlight hanging on to her guilt, she still empathizes with her and talks her into calming her mind. They poke fun at each other and commit some trust in each other like real friends do, which is nice because it gives Starlight something to work with. I actually get why Starlight doesn't believe she's an experienced leader. Considering her screw-up in Evatista, it's clear that she only had experience in leadership when she was ruling a totalitarianism of her own opinion instead of a democracy. But the episode is never mentioned, so it feels like she doesn't think she can lead due to guilt instead of actual knowledge on the subject, which is still very annoying. However, what really helps to save Starlight in this episode is not that she learns to be a leader, but the internal conflict that she confronts. She wants to believe she's made progress and she became Twilight student, but because of her lack in good judgment, she ends up selling herself short. But as the episode unfolds, we see how she manages to keep herself under control during the situation, and she boosts herself to take action without being held back by her judgment. She comes up with strategies and ideas for her team to overcome their dilemma, and she communicates with them in a way that keeps them held together so they don't end up breaking down. She's also very observant, using little things that she sees and turning it into an advantage for the group. Most importantly, she doesn't hold herself back. Even when she becomes nervous, she still continues to move forward and stays focused on the peril that she's faced with. It never feels like she's making progress because it's a requirement for the plot to work. The pacing of everything she goes through in this episode is tied together in a natural bundle. As a matter of fact, this episode alone demonstrates how great Starlight can be as a standalone character. She's smart, resourceful, humorous, hopeful, she acts as a figure of guidance for others, she's self-conscious but still maintaining confidence in herself, courageous, and committed. I actually feel bad now that this season didn't use her as much as it should have, because everything that is great about Starlight Glimmer is in this episode. Even if you have to take her guilt trips with a grain of salt, she still does great things and showcases a lot of progress in this episode. And I actually feel better about the idea of her being in a leading role now that she's actually stepping up her game and trying out new things. I can't say that To Where and Back Again is a flawless episode, but it's definitely a step up from last year's finale by a long shot. The characters are fun, the story takes itself in an interesting direction, the stakes are satisfyingly high, and like all the other two-parters and finales, it takes the show in a new direction with what will become of Chrysalis and the Changelings. It's an episode that I look forward to seeing again sometime soon, and it's a great way to close off the long journey through Season 6. Phew. Well, folks, there you have it. It's finally done. I finally got my review of this episode out. I'm sorry it took this long, but I wanted to make sure that I had everything I needed to make it fun to watch and have an appeal to it. I know it should have come out sooner. In fact, I would have done the review the day after the episode aired, but someone loyal to me was making a title card exclusively for the review, and I didn't want it to go to waste. I also wanted to take an opportunity to make an opening joke based on the episode's revelation, so I had to ask a favor from someone, and I'm thankful that it finally got done, even though a week or several days earlier would have been really sweet. I want to thank Sketchy the Changeling for taking the time to make that opening bit for me. I highly suggest you go to his channel and subscribe to him. He puts out great work, and he's an excellent artist. He does great reviews on the comics and does some really good quick thoughts on the episodes for Season 6. He's not a fan of Pinkie Pie, but that's just a personal gripe that I tend to hold. He's still done so many cool things for this fandom, including raising awareness on Keyframe's situation. He's got a Patreon, so if you'd like to support him through free money, you can do that too. I also want to thank Morpheus X for the title card. He's a good artist, and I really love the title cards for episodes he comes up with. He manages to capture all of the themes and events of an episode in a single picture. He actually did another one for me for the Crystalling. If you have time, you can check him out on DeviantArt, support his art, give him a shout, let him know that his time dedicated to making something for me is deeply appreciated. So, with Season 6 over and done with, I still have a loose end to tie up. If you still want to be subscribed to my channel after everything you're going to see and hear in it, you will have my deepest respect for being able to put up with it. Until then, have a nice day, take care of yourselves, and hope to God that Donald Trump does not become president. MisAnthro Pony, over and out.